AE St. Petersburg, an iHeart radio station.
It's time, man! The stage is set!
Welcome.
Welcome home, baby. I like this kind of party!
Putting the fun in dysfunctional. Each and every weekday morning, the Pat and Aaron Show.
Is it a little too early for being that loud?
Good morning, Tampa Bay.
And here we go.
Now your hosts, Pat Donovan and Aaron Jacobson.
Good morning, goons, and welcome to the Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Happy New Year to you, although Aaron Jacobson back, by the way, for the new year. But it's weird, Aaron, as we say Happy New Year, because it was a less Happy New Year than certainly we would have liked it to be. I know my wife and I don't know how many other people, but we went to bed fairly early on New Year's Eve. We went after midnight, but once it kind of struck midnight, we were ready to go down. And I don't know how many other people were like that, but we woke up to the same news that most people did, which was I don't know if you want to call them tragic, but disgusting events in New Orleans.
I think they can be both.
Well, yeah.
Tragic for one side, disgusting for the other side.
Certainly. And it is tragic, of course, whenever you lose any life, especially 15. But it's also the first, as sad as you are for the loss of life, the first emotions in my experience for something like this is anger, you know?
Yeah.
And not anger like I want to point fingers at who's to blame, like within our own. It's weird how everyone else is like, well, see this person or that person. And it's like, no, it's the guy who did it. It's the schmuck who did it. And it's unfortunate that...
How do they get to that point where they're doing it? And what we saw, the deadly New Year's Day attack in New Orleans, and as far as the sports side of things, we saw the Sugar Bowl get delayed, and if it was up to the Louisiana's Attorney General, she wants to push back even further. And I understand it. It's a very uncomfortable time. It's a very tragic, sad time. I do not understand what leads any person to be radicalized in whatever form they're radicalized, but whatever leads them to do something like this, where you know you're going to die, you're going to take other people with you. It's just the scariest thing, because you could be anywhere at any time having a good time. I saw some of that video, and I would advise people not to watch it, but I did see some of it. And to watch the car going at full speed, and I literally saw somebody they were on their phone in the middle of Bourbon Street. And you're not... Bourbon Street, it's like Ybor. You know, even crazier as far as the streets are shut down. It's just people walking on the streets. No cars there.
I mean, listen, you're right, because it's definitely more than, even though I haven't been there, I can say it's definitely more than Ybor, because it was 3 a.m.
But also there's
nobody on the road at 3 a.m. at Ybor.
But there are cars allowed on 7th Avenue in Ybor City, whereas in Bourbon Street, it's just blocks of people. There's no cars getting through there. So to see that, people that are just living their life, enjoying the new year, and then their life is gone, senseless. It's it was devastating, and it's just, I don't even know where how do we stop that? I don't think you can.
You can't, unfortunately. I mean, not completely. You can hope to make every event as safe as humanly possible, but there's always going to be lunatics that find a way.
That's why I tell people I wouldn't go to Times. I was in New York during New Year's. I would not go to Times Square during New Year's. Just that heavy populated. I was at the Garden for 4 nights. Even that, it's, you have it in the back of your mind.
All
now.
4 nights?
Dude, I can't do that again. I'm not doing that again.
You're too old.
I'm way too old for that.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're here and awake.
I had the best time ever.
When did you get home?
Last night, 9 o'clock.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, dude, I don't know what happened to me.
Did you sleep on the plane?
No. Wow. I was watching the college football playoff, which was incredible.
Mask on.
That Texas Arizona State game was...
I was going to say, the one game was incredible.
It was incredible. Ohio State just rolled over Oregon. But, yeah, I was sitting there on the plane watching the game. My eyes are throbbing. My face is throbbing. I'm in shambles. I don't know how people do that. Go to festivals and go to... 34. This was it. I tapped out. Because I was on night 4, and I was having a great night, but I'm like, I think I'm having a midlife crisis.
Really?
Yeah.
At 34.
Well, you go to...
It's pretty young to have a midlife crisis.
I've never done 4 nights of fishing. I'm like, why am I doing this now? But why did I choose at 34 to do this? And I'm like, maybe
Peer
I'm
pressure.
having that. maybe midlife crisis. I don't know. But I had a great time. Did you guys all have a good...
You're 34. It's not a midlife crisis.
I'm over the hill. Everyone have a good New Year's? Casey?
Didn't make it to midnight, so sure. I guess that's great. Got
Welcome
a whole
home.
sleep. Yeah.
Welcome home, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I created the greatest beverage of all time, the greatest adult beverage of all time.
I don't believe this.
Yeah, well, you probably wouldn't think so, and a lot of people wouldn't. But you know me. I'm not a man's man when it comes to drinking. I'm not.
Life.
Fair enough. But especially when it comes to drinking, I'm not putting back the bourbon or any of those, strong alcohols. I like foo-foo girly
You're
drinks.
a foo-foo.
Yeah. Bailey's. Have you seen the commercial? Bailey's got Bailey's chocolate. Bailey's Irish Cream.
Yeah,
They
I
have
don't
one
know.
that's
I don't know the
chocolate.
commercial.
Well, it's been on a lot. It's on a lot during sporting events. The dude eats the bottle because it's made out of chocolate. It's not really, but
It
anyways,
got you. It got you.
It made me want to try it.
Yeah, it got
so
you.
I did.
It got you.
So I got the Bailey's chocolate, and then I saw Kahlua salted caramel. And so I combined the two, 50-50, Kahlua salted caramel and Bailey's chocolate.
You think people are still hungover from New
Magic.
Year's and they're like, oh, please stop talking about alcohol? Because I had to take a sip of water
That's why.
just because, I was like, oh my God.
So
I'm midlife crisis.
all right, honestly, we'll full disclosure on the show. It's the new year. Why not? I am on a fairly new medication, and it makes me a little nauseous. When I the morning after I take it, and I had it last night, so I was definitely a little nauseous on the way into work.
Really?
And they had a whole conversation about throwing up on the Ben Maller show on my way into work.
It was the Ben Maller show this morning.
Oh, dude, that guy is almost like his own Buccaneer John.
He's like, I'm Ben Maller.
I got to tell you, I forgot about the switch over to the Fox Sports stuff until one morning when I was driving in.
I love it.
And it was the Ben Maller show, but it was a fill-in who was not great.
Wow.
Let's just say that.
What was his
he
name?
I don't remember. But
Good.
Dude, it was the day after amazing, super important NFL games, right? It was the morning after the Washington Commanders did what they did to the Atlanta Falcons, and that was an amazing game. And I'm driving in, and this guy's doing a comparison between Caitlin Clark and Shohei Ohtani, and
I like that.
It was the most annoying.
I like that.
I'm like, dude, there was so much great football on yesterday you should be talking about right now. And you're talking about Shohei Ohtani and why,
Caitlin Clark has made this sport so popular, and Shohei Ohtani, in a different way, has made Major League Baseball so popular that
he?
I'm trying to make the comparison.
I have
What
either
do you
one of
say?
them, really.
What are you talking about? We just had one of the best games ever yesterday in Texas ASU, and we let off with 4 nights of fish.
Yeah. Well, that's us, though.
That's them. That's Ben Maller, man.
No, that's not. If it was Ben Maller, it would have been better.
By the way, we are getting back into the swing of things, not just the Pat and Aaron show. Everyone on WDAE. We got T-Kraz back in action today.
He's back today?
He's back today with
All
Chris
right.
Mathis. He's back tomorrow with Chris Mathis. So we are back in action here on WDAE. And, of course, Dan Patrick's show leading into Colin Cowherd. And then The Odd Couple, 7 to 10.
Listen, they're odd. All right, so you mentioned there was a great football
You can't
game.
even talk football right now.
I
You're
know.
just stuck on what we did in Kahlua and Bailey's.
Listen, it was really good.
Yeah.
It's a really good drink. Texas and Arizona State, that one started out and it looked like it was going to be another blowout. And I even had tweeted something about oh, not this again. And I got to give it to Nick Wise. I don't know if you saw him, but he replied to my tweet and was like, this one's going to get close again. Something about, I think it's the only game he didn't take the points or whatever, but he's like, this one's going to get close again. Relax. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It's not going to get close again. Well, it got really close again. Went to overtime. That was an outstanding game.
If you don't have Scadaboo, Arizona State gets crushed in that game.
That dude's something
Single-handedly, and that's why Arizona State couldn't do anything at the end. But in that second overtime, a couple things here, Pat. Wow. For Texas to go, seriously, man, 4th and 13 with your game on the line, your season on the line, after getting a false start. It was 4th and 8. You get a false start. It's 4th and 13. Not even 4th and goal, 4th and 13, and you launch a laser into the end zone for a touchdown pass. Your next play in overtime is a touchdown right away on the first play. And then you go out there and you continue, you score a 2-point conversion to end up getting you ahead for good, which I hate that rule, by the way. I hate that rule in the college football playoff that they go by the 2-point conversion. Just play it out, man.
It's terrible.
Just play it out.
Play real football. That's what I always say about this stupid overtime.
Turn into a fantastic game, and without Scadaboo, it doesn't become that game.
I thought it was us, but I'm not seeing it on any of our social medias. But Scadaboo was so good that it caused someone to ask the insane question about who would you draft first, him or Ashton Genty, which I think is not a real question.
It's Genty. It's Genty.
Is it close?
Listen.
I don't think it's
close. It depends on what you're looking for.
Scadaboo's very good, but I don't think it's close.
Listen, I'm not a scout, right? But when I see the way the league is and how guys look at like Taysom Hill, right? There are guys that you look at and I'm like, I don't know if he'll be great in the NFL. And they figure it out at whatever position they're put at, and they contribute. When you have stud athletes like Scadaboo, who's just a gamer and understands football, Texas knew the game plan yesterday. Stop that guy.
Yeah.
And they couldn't stop him at the end of the game. That tells me that he's just got this ridiculous ability that most people don't have.
He's outstanding, and he's been outstanding all year long, and he certainly was yesterday. And it was the only outstanding game so far, really, in the college football playoffs. It's the only real competitive game so far in the college football playoffs.
It's why they need to make the change. We'll talk about it throughout the show. They have to change the seating. There's no reason why Oregon should have been playing Ohio State yesterday while Penn State got to play Boise State.
No, you're 100% right. And by the way, for people who are saying, well, it's too many teams, it should still only be 4 teams. If it was only still 4 teams, Ohio State's not even in it. And they might win.
They look the most geared to win right now.
I heard you say that. I was actually in the kitchen while you were talking to our friend Reed Shepard.
Yeah.
And I heard you say that. And listen, so far, I don't know how you can argue otherwise.
Dominant.
I hate Ohio State. I don't know how you can argue otherwise. Shame on you, Aaron Jacobson.
Why?
And shame on me as well.
Happy New Year?
Happy New Year.
Oh,
yes, I said that to start the show. But also, we have yet to, 13 minutes into the show, mention a lot of people have loved Wechter Wednesdays over the years. And by the way, they're not going anywhere. Of course, yesterday, New Year's Day, so he wasn't with us, although he may be our guest picker. I'm still waiting for confirmation. Maybe our guest picker tomorrow for Football Pick'em. But we have built on Wechter Wednesday this year with a new theme day, Dignitary Thursday.
Yes.
And it's going to be fantastic, and it starts today. The great Ian Beckles, every Thursday, is going to join us for the 8 o'clock hour of the show, just as Doug Wechter does on Wednesdays. So Dignitary Thursday begins today. Ian Beckles will be with us for the 8 o'clock hour. But we do have a ton to get to when it comes to the Buccaneers. But also, again, we are now nearly through with the second round of the college football playoffs. Of course, we still have the Sugar Bowl tonight. We believe it's going to be tonight. And I know you said earlier, was it I didn't see it. Was it the Attorney General, you said?
Yeah.
That said they like it moved even further?
Yeah.
And listen, we're still over a week away from next week's games.
And it's 4 o'clock, so it's really this afternoon, which is, it was originally scheduled for 8:50 last night, which was just crazy.
Yeah, and my mistake, because they had said, the announcement was they were going to delay it for 24 hours. And I just assumed it was going to be the same start time. 4 o'clock. I'm not in love with that. People are getting back to work today. The last thing they want to do is miss part of a college football playoff game because, and I know the circumstances, it's hard to bitch.
No, it's hard. It's hard. It's not that. It's hard.
It's not a great time.
I'll tell you the opposite effect I have. And I know we got to take a break here. I actually love it. I feel bad that I love it because of how it got changed, right? I don't want it to get changed away. And that should go without saying, right? But as far as the 4 o'clock, selfishly, I love it. 8:50 is insane. 9 o'clock to start a game.
It is late.
Is insane, especially everyone coming off of New Year's and partying. No one wants to stay up that late.
I like to be napping at 4 o'clock,
Let you nap before 4 o'clock.
I got a doctor's appointment.
What time's your doctor's appointment?
10:30.
10:30. What time you be home? 12:30. You
We'll
can't.
see.
You can't sneak a nap in before 4.
Listen, it takes time to get to
No,
sleep.
it doesn't.
There's a process.
You know what that process is. And
Nobody
that
else
will get to
needs to.
sleep quickly.
Nobody else needs to. Well, listen, that's harder these days. I don't know if you've paid attention to the news in Florida, but unless you want to scan your license, there's some websites that you just can't use anymore.
Oh my God, I saw that.
Have you
That's
learned
crazy.
this?
No, I haven't learned
Oh,
it.
yeah, you'll learn it.
I will not learn it.
Casey Warner will learn us some things. It's today's top headlines coming up on the other side. Before us, want to remind you, today we'll be talking with our good friend Dr. Trey Ramaley at 7:45 because it's our weekly interview with one of our friends from the Florida Orthopedic Institute. And listen, just like Dr. Trey Ramaley is the perfect doctor to join us and talk to us about the injuries we're going to talk about this morning. Well, when you need to talk about an injury that you're dealing with, they've got the perfect doctor who has dealt with that injury before and knows exactly what you should do.
Remember when I got mallet finger?
I do, yeah. How could anyone forget?
My buddy Greg in New York, you've met him. He had 2 broken fingers.
Were they malleted, though?
I don't think they were malleted because he showed me a picture and it was like way worse than mine, way more black and blue. It looked like they had to be amputated. He lives in New York, so he doesn't get what you get right here in our backyard. I'm talking about Florida Orthopedic Institute and Tampa General in partnership with Tampa General Hospital. So make sure you access that world-class orthopedic care, whether it's mallet finger or something else.
DAE and AM 620. Top headlines.
Time for today's top headlines, brought to you by Mark Spain Real Estate and Casey Warner's enormously intelligent dome. Casey Warner, what are the biggest stories in all of the land of sports, young man?
We'll go ahead and continue our college football playoff discussion here a little bit with a zoom out at the bracket. Now, on New Year's Eve, of course, Penn State defeated Boise State 31-14. That puts them in the semifinal, waiting for the winner of Notre Dame and Georgia, which is going to take place today at 4. Now, you would have normally been able to hear that on our station on WDAE, but T-Kraz is back today, so you will not hear that. You'll hear T-Kraz.
Sure, he'd take the day off if we let him.
Yeah, right. So 4 p.m. on that one today. Keep an eye on that one. And then, of course, the other semifinal matchup is set. That is for January 10th at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. The 5-seed Texas will take on the 8-seed Ohio State. And that one is already opened up as a 6-point favorite in favor of Ohio State.
I'm seeing
How
6.5 on
Yeah.
ESPN, so depending on where you go.
Yeah, so
not sure.
6.5.
Where are we going today, fellas, when it comes to Georgia, Notre Dame? The big question with Carson Beck out for Georgia is what's Gunnar Stockton going to do now that he's the starting quarterback for the Bulldogs? A lot of people are very high on Stockton, but this is I mean, he got a little bit of experience during the SEC championship game, but this is a whole different ball game in the college football playoff.
It is, and I think it's a big ask for the kid, who hasn't got a lot of chance to play. I know he played a little bit when Beck got hurt, but he didn't look great. I think it's hard to go against Notre Dame in this game with the situation at quarterback for Georgia.
For Georgia, I think the name of the game today is going to be just controlling the clock and utilizing your ground game, whether that be Stockton being physical and aggressive himself, but also using that backfield and a dangerous one at that to be able to try to get after Notre Dame, who has a great front seven as well.
So Notre Dame is a 1-point favorite in that game right now. By the way, on the Hard Rock app, if that is where you're going, and if you're going to bet legally and around here, it's where you would be going. It is 6.5 for Ohio State. That's big, almost a touchdown in a game like that.
What's the point total tonight over under this afternoon for the Georgia Notre Dame game? I feel like it's going to be
45.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be low scoring. Run the football, just control the clock. That's what I think today is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that, and I was very much looking forward to that last night, but did not quite get that game in. So 4 o'clock today, you'll be able to see that one. And I saw this yesterday. Pat sent this to me, and this is something we definitely got to throw in today's top headlines because Aaron Rodgers, he has obviously struggled this season, and the Jets have struggled this season. There are a lot of questions on whether Aaron Rodgers is going to be back with the Jets or back at all, for that matter, next season.
I think that's the question, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
Casey. I don't think there's a question on if he's going to be back with the Jets. I'm pretty sure that's solved.
Yeah, so
he's not going back there.
The other day, he was asked in a practice press conference about his future, not only with the Jets, but in the NFL, and if Sunday could be his last game, and this was his response.
Have you thought at all, Aaron, about if this is your last game or could be your last game?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And what are your, when you reflect on that at all, what goes through your mind?
No, just a lot of gratitude for the last 20 years and the many countless lives I've encountered and amazing teammates and coaches I now call friends. Experiences I've had, memories, a lot of great memories, a lot of great people impacted my life. Ones that know it, ones that might not even know it, by just side comments or putting an arm around me at the right time. But not just those 20 years, I had great college coaches at Cal and junior college and high school coaches. And, this game has given me a lot. I've given a lot back to it, and I'm thankful for it. I'm not thinking, I won't be thinking about that come game day. I'll just be enjoying this. I'm trying to stay in the moment. But, of course, it's been a long career. I'm really proud of what I've been able to be a part of, what I've been able to accomplish, and also looking forward to a nice mental and physical rest.
He is so washed. There's no way he comes back. I don't think another franchise would want to take a chance on him because
I wouldn't.
Here's the difference, all right? A lot of people looked at Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets and they tried to say, well, this is Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. No, it's not.
Yeah, it was not.
And Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers at an older age than Aaron Rodgers, but Tom Brady, look at the way those guys take care of themselves. Completely different. Tom Brady's regimented on his Tom Brady diet, which is just an insane diet. He's taking care of his body. He's thinking football.
Rodgers is doing self-help stuff, though.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah,
And
man.
I don't know how much football the guy is thinking about when he's talking about butterflies that started as caterpillars.
No. Have some respect for the truth. And that's what Aaron was talking about, was the truth. There is no such thing as a butterfly. It's always a caterpillar. And a butterfly is just a different name for a caterpillar.
He
man.
was so high that I couldn't even hear or understand or comprehend what he was saying. But that's the difference in an offseason for a Tom Brady and an offseason for Aaron Rodgers. And I know one summer it seemed like he took ayahuasca and then he had an MVP year.
Made him a better lover.
Great.
Better friend.
For that year. But I'm sure the ayahuasca feel wore off and he hasn't had any good times on the football field since. So he's washed, he's done. But when you think about those two guys and how Tom Brady attacked that latter portion of his career going to the Buccaneers, completely different from how Aaron Rodgers attacked it with the Jets. Got injured in his first year, had a horrible year in his second year. Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl in his first year and does nothing but throw up insane numbers.
Aaron Jacobson, not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron just spent 4 consecutive days, seeing fish at Madison Square Garden, where, without question, there were a lot of people doing a lot of drugs at those fish shows. And I will guarantee you right now, not one of those hippies at one of those fish shows was higher than Aaron Rodgers. None of those Fish fans were higher than Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. Drew Carey was in the crowd at Fish, and he was doing a late night.
He was tripping balls?
My friends went to a DJ set late night, and Drew Carey showed up doing DJ set.
He was DJing.
I'll show you a video.
Oh, my God.
Hilarious.
It's got to be the funniest thing ever.
It's hilarious.
He doesn't even look like young Drew Carey anymore. He looks like he's ancient.
He looks like ancient Drew Carey DJ. By the way, you mentioned the Garden, 4 nights of Fish. 31st was the last night of Fish.
Yeah.
The first, yesterday, the Knicks played at the Garden after 4 straight nights of Fish. That can't be the cleanup post Fish to make sure that, because you're having kids come in for the Knicks game.
Yeah.
You got to be really diligent on your cleanup duty from the things that I saw.
I bet the people who do clean up for the Fish shows clean up really well.
They volunteer.
They're like, I'll do that. Normally I'll never do that, but after that show.
The amount of volunteers are record-breaking numbers after Fish shows.
Why are there as many people here to volunteer to clean up after the Fish show as there were here to see the Fish show?
And they're not actually cleaning. You just see them looking. And you have to have secure supervisors be like, all right, we get it. Clean up.
Just how good has Bucky Irving been this year? He is the first Buccaneer to rush for 1,000 yards since Doug Martin in 2015, but he's put himself in a class that is even more exclusive.
To the Pat and Aaron Show on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Another Offensive Player of the Week award for Baker Mayfield after a nearly perfect Sunday. One of the beneficiaries of that nearly perfect Sunday, 77 yards through the air for Bucky Irving, who, of course, went for another 113 on the ground. He became the first Buccaneer to run for 1,000 yards, which I almost feel bad for Rachaad White because he was right there. He was like a couple of yards away last year.
Yeah, and you remember I would have won like $8,000 if he scored a touchdown on that final drive, but he decided at the 10-yard line when he needed only 10 to get 1,000 that they're just going to run out the clock.
Yeah, he did the team thing and not the player or the give Aaron the betting win thing.
Yeah, that was $8,000 I could have won off like a $20 bet.
But Bucky Irving, the first guy in nearly 10 years to run for 1,000 yards for the Buccaneers. Pretty impressive. Even more impressive was the stat. I saw this actually on Good Morning Football yesterday. They were talking a little bit about Bucky Irving. Peter Schrager has his list of like top 5 rookie performances every week or whatever. And there were a lot of guys. He was talking about a bunch of guys that like didn't even make the list this week that had great weeks. A lot of rookies around the league are performing, and certainly this Buccaneer team is leading the way because just about every rookie they drafted this year is having a fantastic season. I think Chris Braswell is kind of the exception, and he just had his best game. If we could see him start to ascend, it would be really huge for this football team. But Bucky Irving, with over 150 yards from scrimmage, joined a pretty elite group. Only Ezekiel Elliott and Puka Nacua have had more 150-yard scrimmage games than Bucky Irving as a rookie. Ezekiel had 6 his rookie season, which is pretty sick. And then Puka Nacua had 4.
I think when we look back at the beginning of the season while we're making our predictions, before the season started, looking at training camp, I think we all knew we had a lot of potential in this rookie draft class. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us looked at Jalen McMillan on offense to be that guy that emerged as the star from this class. We had Rachaad White here. He was the RB1. I think it is a surprise that Bucky has done what he's done as far as historic numbers, not just providing a guy who is going to be a boost for you in a 2-headed monster backfield, which at times looked like a 3-headed backfield. But Bucky has been so impressive. Jalen was not. Jalen had a really rough start to the season.
Yeah.
But has picked it up. He's picked it up late. He's still not there yet. Bucky's there.
His last couple of weeks, he's been fantastic. He's coming off a 2-touchdown game.
Even even little things along the way. There was that Baker interception in the end zone that I believe against Dallas that Jalen McMillan was wrestling with. That
wasn't a poor play though. He just got it taken away from him from a bigger, stronger dude.
Yeah,
that's the reality of that. It's not that he did anything wrong. He got beat.
Yeah, and you'd like to see it go the other way.
Of course.
But I think you're seeing that confidence build in Jalen McMillan. Anytime anything like that happens where a ball's ripped away from him, that could hurt the confidence. So you hope it doesn't. He's starting to find his way, get more comfortable, get more confident, and that's really important for this team moving forward. But this rookie class, like you're mentioning, Bucky's doing historic things.
Bucky Irving isn't a surprise to me and you. Bucky Irving is a surprise to absolutely everyone, and you need no more evidence than the fact that he went in the 4th round. If they redraft this draft class today, there's no chance Bucky Irving's hanging around in the 4th round. He might go in the 1st. I don't know if he goes in the 1st because running backs are still, not a really premier position, even though they a little more got paid this offseason and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I don't know if he's a 1st-round pick, but he's definitely not a 4th-round pick.
He's one of the top guys off the board as far as the running back position is concerned if they redraft it.
He's the best rookie running back. It hasn't been close. He's been fantastic this year. So it's his 3rd game with 150 yards or more from scrimmage. He ties, and again, the only guys who have had more as a rookie were Ezekiel Elliott, who had 6, and Puka Nacua, who had 4. So if Irving does it on Sunday, then he would tie Puka Nacua for 2nd all-time. He, by the way, having 3 this year, ties a couple of guys who are okay. Saquon Barkley, and I know it's Saquon. I like to mess around. I don't know why. Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, Kareem Hunt, and Todd Gurley all did it 3 times as well. It's pretty strong class of players right there.
It is. It's incentive week. I saw this on the text line. J.K. Dobbins from Nick in Sarasota, 58 yards, rushing yards from incentives. This is
He's sent like 8 texts about incentives. What is going on here? You just noticed the one?
That was
Nick,
the last one.
What is going on here, Nick?
He's right. It makes it very interesting when you're looking to see what's going to happen in these last games. If you're looking at prop bets, a lot of the guys you want to look at making bets this weekend are guys that need numbers. Now, you mentioned Saquon Barkley. The guy's having a historic season. He's not going to play in the final game. So we don't have to worry about that one. But Mike Evans, I know we're going to get to it. He has one. J.K. Dobbins, Geno Smith, yardage. He has one too.
Yeah. No, listen, it makes sense. And you got to wonder if Vegas will put a lot of those lines at or near what those incentive marks are.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Aaron, I've never thought about it from the gambling standpoint before, because I was going to say, I thought Nick was just messing around with us. I don't, at the end of the day, find the incentive thing that interesting.
If you're betting it, it very much is.
But that's what I was going to say. Yeah. If you tie it to the potential to win money on some gambling, I'm going to win a little money, Aaron, if the Buccaneers win on Sunday.
That's right, for the division. That's right. Yeah. I know a couple people that have some great odds of the Buccaneers winning the division.
I don't have that great odds.
But you look at the odds for this weekend for the games, very hard to predict because you don't know who's sitting. Some teams aren't playing for anything.
How much do you hate it?
I like that we can bet on the incentive to prop bets. That's why back in the day you couldn't bet really on players. You were betting teams with a bookie, which was awesome. Now you get to bet players. I thought it was cool.
There were no props
it depends
at all?
on who you were using.
Like the bookie that we had that you still use, right? There's some props there.
I don't really. I'm pretty Hard Rock.
You're off of it.
Yeah, I'm off it.
You're off the bookie.
I'm off the Hard Rock gives better choices and selection.
I thought you just like to diversify.
Well, when I went to New York this weekend, I was going to use him, but then I used FanDuel. Won a huge Knicks parlay.
You stayed in one city, so it was very easy.
Yeah, I wasn't leaving, going like to Virginia and then Maryland. It was crazy.
Did you ever figure out your money situation after that?
No.
Did you get your money back?
No, I never got it.
You just went into the cipher forever.
No, when I went to New York, it was still in my account, so I just played with that, and I turned
from the Washington.
Yeah, I had like $35 in it. I turned it around into $500 on a $10 Knicks parlay. That's the week I had. And I lost some of it.
That was fucking awesome.
It was.
That is pretty awesome.
It was.
All right, I'm not going to call speaking of some of these over-unders, I'm not going to call the Buccaneers game against New Orleans a lock, although it really should be. But I will give you my lock of the week, even if it makes Aaron Jacobson uncomfortable, because I feel like it's going to.
Yeah, you're already ruining my
Tampa Bay, the Pat and Aaron Show on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Pat and Aaron, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
You know what was wild to me, Pat? I just remembered this. I actually made a note and I was going through my emails. I just found it. There are Buccaneers fans all across the United States, even at fish shows.
Yeah.
I saw, first of all, I ran into a couple people I knew from Florida, but I saw somebody wearing an old school.
You ran into multiple people you knew in New York.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a listener who was a couple rows behind me at night one yelling Aaron. And well, he was, just Aaron. And most of my friends in New York, they call me Jacobson. So I was like, that's got to be so. So he was a goon. And then somebody was wearing a Derek Brooks 55 old school jersey. I saw him one night at Fish wearing the Derek Brooks 55 jersey, and I was like, that's sick. I saw him in the bathroom. I was going to say something, but we didn't cross paths. And then I saw him the last night wearing the Derek Brooks jersey as well.
Did you wear all of the nights?
I don't know, but definitely 2 out of the 4. And then the other guy was wearing a Gasparilla Music Festival shirt. So I was like, Tampa. And I thought they might want to stop for a quick chat. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, have a good one, guys.
I'm befuddled at the thought. Like when I think about a fish show, it's not like a lot of concerts. You go to your seat and you sit in your seat, or you go to the mosh pit and you stay in the mosh pit. Wherever you're at, you kind of are in a spot for the whole show. I feel like fish shows, you're moving around a lot. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you move around a lot.
For sure. And I know you're dancing and stuff. You're not just sitting there. Like, football jerseys are warm, dude. Like,
I know it's cold in New York is cold, and the Garden has some air pumping in where it wasn't hot. It's not hot in the Garden at any point.
All right.
I layered down when I got in, but yeah, he was wearing the football jersey. I saw a lot of Knicks jerseys in there. I was wearing my Knicks sweater that you got me for my birthday one night. You're at the Garden, it makes sense. I was proud of that guy. You're wearing a Derek Brooks jersey and you wear it multiple nights. That's a jersey you want to show off.
That's dedication.
That's a dedicated, proud Bucs fan. If you were listening and you were that guy, I'm assuming if you are a big Bucs fan, you know this station, you listen to this station. If you were that guy with a Derek Brooks jersey on that I saw and I tried to talk to you, you guys didn't want to converse with me. Text or something, 82945, start your text with DAE.
They didn't want to talk to you.
I know. I would try to relate. I was like, hey, I'm from Tampa. Or I just yelled Tampa Bay. I don't remember what I said, but I thought that might get them going. But they were in this fish mode. It was during a set break. I thought they might want to talk.
Were they on drugs?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I mentioned that you were in, New York at the Garden to see Fish for at least a couple of days over the break, and Rock Riley was like, "What's that all about?" And I was like, "Drugs."
No, it's not. No, you do not have to. That is such a misconception. You can go enjoy music without that. You can't.
Most music, but fish shows are very drug laden. Is that fair?
Yes.
Not you necessarily,
First of all,
but people around you.
Kids don't do drugs, first of all. But
most important,
a lot of concerts are like that. That's just how shows are, especially like that, especially New Year's, that type of thing. But no, you don't have to. If you
would
really,
you say there's more of that at fish shows than other shows?
I guess. If you really enjoy music and you like beautiful music and jamming and a band coming together and creating music out of nowhere, it's awesome. You don't need that.
We had people texting in about Trey on Friday.
Trey's the best.
Yeah. All right. Mentioned before the break, I will not lock the Buccaneer game this week, although we should, as Buccaneer fans, expect that they dominate the New Orleans Saints. Doesn't mean it's going to be 48-14, but they should control the game. The New Orleans Saints, I know they'd probably love to play spoiler against the Buccaneers, but at the same time, that's a football team that looks like it cannot wait to go home.
Derek Carr not practicing, Alvin Kamara not practicing, so it looks like you might be getting the backups again for New Orleans.
Probably. I think probably with I think Olave might go. I know he's been a full participant, although he was last week and didn't go. So they might just shut guys down because it's week 18 and they are ready to go home. That said, I won't lock in the game. I don't want to panic anybody, but I'm going to lock this in. All right? And I don't know what his over-under is going to be. Aaron, I looked on the Hard Rock app as of last night, and they did not have an over-under for Mike Evans yet. I know a lot of times they wait until they get closer to game time for that stuff, But when I looked last night, at least on the Hard Rock app, there was no over-under for Mike Evans. So I don't know where his number is going to be from a betting standpoint, but he needs 85 yards to get to 1,000.
It is set at. You want to take?
They put it in there.
You want to take a guess at where it's set at for Mike Evans over under receiving yards?
79.5.
91.5.
Wow, those SOBs.
I can't believe Mike's in position to get 1,000 again.
I'm not shocked.
We both took we under 1,000.
No, I know, but I'm still not shocked.
How?
Because this is what they do.
But they're still like, they did it, and they did it during a winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just feeding Mike the ball to feed them the ball to get him 1,000. They got an opportunity to win the division again, and they needed that run after the bye week. They also needed the Falcons to fall on their face, which they did. And now you've got Mike in position to, one, you win the game and you go to the playoffs, you win another division. And two, you get 85 yards for a guy who can really at times do that in his sleep.
Here's what I won't do. I will not lock in 91.5, and I'll tell you why. Let's say the Bucs go up 21-0. And right after they go up 21-0, let's say it's third quarter. They come out in the third quarter, they take a 21-0 lead over a Saints team that can't wait to go home. And on the drive where they get to the 21-0 lead, Mike Evans catches a ball for his 88th yard. They might take him out. They might at least say, hey, unless the Saints look like they're going to come back, we're going to pull some of our starters.
I would.
So I won't say over 91.5, which is the over-under, as you just said. But when it comes to getting 85, when it comes to getting to 1,000 again. Lock it in. I won't be surprised. And again, depending on the score, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull him shortly after. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mike had 85 by the half. I really wouldn't.
Should I take Mike to get 100 yards?
I mean, why not just take the over-under? How much better do the odds really get for you at 100?
I don't know. That's why I'm a degenerate. Plus 110. You're right. But it's minus 140 for over 91.5. So if you get that extra 9 yards, you get a little value there.
Yeah.
I don't see any way in which he doesn't get it.
He's getting it.
And for them to win another division, for him to get another 1,000-yard season, it just cements him. I mean, he's battled injury.
Yep.
He battled a hamstring injury. He missed, 3 weeks because of that hamstring injury? 3.5 because of they happened early in the game.
Actually, when you think about, like, he missed part of 2 games and he went out early in both of them, you can kind of say he missed about 4.5 games total.
So for him to get this, it just cements him. Once again, we already know he's a Hall of Famer. Now is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? And I think it's been years since we've had that conversation with Ira Kaufman, who's got the vote. Or he's one who presents these guys, and it was a huge part of Rondé getting in. When he said years ago, Hall of Famer, but first ballot, I don't know.
Actually,
he was questioning the Hall of Fame.
He was questioning whether or not he would get into the Hall. But like you said, that was years ago.
Years ago, when you've done what he's done since then, and I don't remember if that was before the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, but the ring matters.
It was after.
The ring matters. It does.
Oh, yeah.
So you get the ring, you got the historic start to your season, and every season, 1,000 yards. Every season since he's been in the NFL.
You know what I mentioned while you were out? Eli Manning's a finalist.
Good for him.
You know he's going in.
Yeah,
he may not go in first ballot, but he's going in.
Go in first ballot. It'd
you know what?
A mockery.
He probably should not be a first ballot.
It'd be a mockery.
I would say that as a guy who grew up a Giants fan.
It would be.
But he's going in.
It would be an absolute mockery. Yeah, it's just this. What were we talking about before? Just a second ago, before Eli.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. He hasn't had 1,000, less than 1,000 yards in a season as a receiver since he was like in high school.
Do you know that he did that in high school?
I'm not sure.
Maybe he might
Pee-wee.
have done it in high school.
Maybe Pee-wee, but like he was doing it.
Because think about high school, dude. When you're a guy like Mike, I can't imagine he was playing around a bunch of NFL players.
But what he was doing at A&M into NFL, like this guy doesn't know what a bad season statistically is like. He's never had it.
Dude, he made Johnny Manziel look like a great quarterback.
That's true. That's really true, man.
He almost got you there, Johnny. He just couldn't get you
No,
over
he
the hump
did
in
get
the
you
NFL.
there, but then you have to figure it out on your own.
Well, just being in the NFL to me isn't getting there.
Yeah, Mike Evans
got to succeed a little bit.
In his 2 years at A&M, had over 1,000 yards. So this guy doesn't know what under 1,000 yards is like.
I would imagine he did it in high school, because again, guys put up ridiculous numbers in high school if they are playing in an offense that throw. Like when I was a kid, you could be the best wide receiver on the planet. You weren't catching a ton of balls. Not in the offense that we were in.
I don't know if I believe everything coming out of high school and the websites. You know what I mean?
See, nowadays, there was no websites when I was a kid. Not that I did anything worthy if anybody wanted to look up, so I guess it doesn't matter that much to me.
I'm looking. I don't want his basketball stats. I want his football stats. He didn't have 1,000 yards in 2010.
Where was that, high school?
That was high school.
Wow. How many?
580 in 8 games played.
Oh, his quarterback was a bum. You can listen. Was Mike Evans' quarterback a bum in high school? You can lock that in.
But he wasn't even a football player, right? Really, in high school, he was a basketball player.
I thought he played some football in high school. I don't know that much.
I want to do some more research on this man's life. He's so interesting.
I mean, there's the documentary, which is, just unbelievable about Mike as a kid. But anyways, when we return, will the Buccaneers dispose of a second straight divisional foe who is, of course, going to be looking to play spoiler on Sunday? We're going to tell you next. It's the Pat and Aaron
and Aaron Show. Happy New Year to everyone out there. A little cold today, a little chilly today out there. It's going to get a little warmer as we get on through the day. Pat, I just got back last night. First day back. Pat Donovan, Casey Warner, they've been here. Casey got back from Kentucky a couple days ago. How's the weather been in Florida? Because I was surprised. I got back at like 9 last night, and it was a little chilly, but I was basically airport into Uber into home, and that was it. What, this morning, has it been like this in the 40s?
It's been beautiful. And then today came, and it's freezing.
This is the first cold day.
I wore my winter hat this morning on the way to work.
First cold day. How was the weather? I know it was raining. I was watching it on TV in New York, but the ReliaQuest Bowl, how was the weather? It looked like it got better as the game went on.
There were a couple of spurts. Right before the game, there was like a 10-minute spurt where it just poured out, and then a little bit during the game. And it's funny because there was such a difference between the Alabama fans who seemed to get up and be like, let's go get dry, and the Michigan fans that were like, it's still freaking beautiful out compared to Michigan, and they all just stood there in the rain, and they loved it.
Well,
it was hilarious.
Maybe that helped the team because Michigan looked like they were ready to go in that game, and Alabama was just turning the ball over. And
that's what it was, really.
I mean, for Michigan, coming off of you won the national championship. You lose Jim Harbaugh to the NFL. Mm-hmm. You start this whole new thing over, and was it a good season for them? It wasn't a great season. It was
Michigan fans will tell you it was because they beat Ohio State.
You beat Ohio State, and then you won a bowl game against Alabama. For the rough start, I think it ended pretty well for Michigan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. To win it, against Ohio State, and then I didn't think they necessarily took it to Alabama as much as Alabama just coughed it away with those 3 turnovers.
College football is so bizarre. And by the way, we'll get into the college football playoff from yesterday and the game we'll preview coming up today, Georgia Notre Dame. College football is so weird because
it's getting weirder.
It's getting weirder, but this has been something that has always been there. How is a rivalry game like Michigan, we're talking about, okay, they beat Ohio State in a season they weren't supposed to. Good season for them. Ohio State looks like the best team in college football right now. They look primed to win the national championship, to go run through this college football playoff, but still there's that conversation in the background of, well, they lost to Michigan. Who cares? Who cares?
Oh, they won't if they win it all. They won't if they win it all.
I think you're wrong. I think they will. I think you've got Michigan fans. You've got trolls. You've got the Nick Wises out there. You got the Dave Portnoys of the world that will not, because of social media, they will not let it die. So the conversation, regardless of what happens.
I think you sound like an idiot if you keep harping on the fact that you won a game in the regular season if a team wins a championship. I think that erases the once that happens. I really think Ryan Day could get fired if they lose to Texas because of his 4th straight loss to Michigan.
Isn't that crazy?
But if they win it all goes away.
But
when you win a national championship, it all goes away. That storyline's real and still there.
Crazy.
But also not relevant if you win the national championship.
But how is a game or two here or there? The guy has shown that he can. Ryan Day has shown he can coach. Right? Yesterday proved it.
Yeah, but Michigan losses are not his only failures. He has fallen short. He hasn't won a national championship, I believe, right?
You want to know why? Because it's hard. It's hard to do.
But that's what they expect at Ohio State.
Do you know how long it took Jim Harbaugh to get over the Ohio State hump and go win a national championship? And then he left. He's like, all right, I did it. Now I'm bailing. It was hard. It's hard. It's not easy.
No, I get it.
Especially you're coming off of, Urban Meyer, that era. You still got to do the recruiting and put in the work and bring the guys in. You're not the name that Urban Meyer is. I think it's crazy.
You know any Ohio State fans that are really high on Ryan Day?
Not really.
You think the boosters and the people that spend all the money that really matter feel any differently than the fans?
Go look at his overall record. The losses we're talking about.
That's what it's going to be at a place like Ohio State.
No, but it doesn't have to be. The 4 straight losses to Michigan is the storyline for why it's going to go downhill for him. Where that is, and I started this off by saying college football is so weird. It's very bizarre because for instance, perfect example, Bucks are on the verge of winning a division title, right? They lost to the Falcons in the division twice. They lost to a division rival twice, a team we hate. There's no conversation about, well, you lost. I can't believe the season's a failure. They lost to the Falcons. No, they're going to win a division. So in the NFL, even those insane rivalries, you're not getting that where it's like, well, they lost, but they won. They lost that one regular season game, but they ended up going far in the playoffs, but you harp back on that one loss.
You know what makes it even weirder and college football fans even weirder? Think about this. As soon as they're done thinking like, oh, season's over or season's made because you won or lost to a team in your conference, you turn right back around to celebrating everything that happens in your conference as if it was your own school's success because it happened in your conference.
True.
The way people root for their conferences, you don't see that anywhere else in sports. Rays fans are like, oh, man, wish the Yankees would have won the World Series because it would be AL East.
Because you're constantly, and this is the college football landscape, and basketball, really, anyway, you're lobbying. As a coach, you're a lobbyist because you're trying to constantly pump up the value of whatever conference you're playing in, whatever value your games are going to be. So if you're in the Big 12, if you're Deion Sanders, you're going to congratulate and pump up Arizona State for their accomplishments this year. Why? Because it can help you out and elevate the conference and elevate how you look in the status of your conference. So there's a lot of politics going on.
I can see that from a coaching standpoint. As a fan, as a guy who roots for Michigan, I'm not rooting for Ohio State. I'm not rooting for anybody else in the Big Ten. I was rooting for Oregon last night because
they're not. That's the most. But that's not like they're not a real Big Ten.
No, I know.
They
it's
are,
not the
but they
same.
aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they haven't been there, so you don't have the same feeling against them as you do against even in Iowa.
Like that's where we're at. You're right. College football's so different now and so bizarre. Where you think of Big Ten, you're like Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon. It's weird.
People who cover college football, by the way, I don't know, this guy I saw on Twitter, I don't know if he covers the game or if he's just a fan with 25,000 whatever followers it was, but I saw this idiot, and I've seen this a few times. I saw this idiot, and I don't even think he was right, but even if it was, it wouldn't matter. There's a video of like some of the Alabama social media people or whatever videoing Jalen Milroe coming out onto the field at the ReliaQuest Bowl. And the suggestion that this guy on Twitter made was that they were recording NIL videos, which even if they were, who cares? But I don't even know that they were. But what this guy said was this basically, everyone who supported Jalen Milroe, they look like an idiot because Jalen Milroe's doing this NIL video before the ReliaQuest Bowl. And it's like, so many kids are not even playing in these bowl games. And we're going to criticize Jalen Milroe because he's like what he's doing before a game that he actually played in.
What are your thoughts on, so Cam Ward, if you missed it for Miami, Heisman Trophy candidate all year long, it seemed like, and had a tremendous year. He's going to be going to the NFL. He's going to be a top pick, a top quarterback to go. He played in the first half of their bowl game, sat out the second half in their bowl game. They lost to Iowa State by 1 point, still a tremendous game. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, I know he wanted to play in the first half because he had this yardage mark that he wanted to set. I mean, again, so many guys don't play in these games. Who cares if a guy doesn't play for an entire game?
The fact that he even played, I mean, a lot of guys don't do that.
Yeah. It's just, to me, it's just such a silly criticism. Either way, even if the guy doesn't play, if he's just trying to protect himself because he's about to make millions of dollars in the NFL, like, I'm sorry, these kids who opt out of bowl games so they can protect their draft status, we're going to criticize them, but we're not going to criticize the NCAA and the schools and the conferences that they've got these kids out there playing for a toaster. They're playing for a toaster. You saw the trophy was an actual toaster,
and the Pop-Tart
right?
came out real nice.
No. Of the toaster itself, the trophy?
Yeah, the Pop-Tart came out of the trophy.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, are you talking about like after the game?
I didn't see after the game.
Not the actual trophy.
Oh, it's a Pop-Tart.
No, it's a toaster. It's a real toaster. The trophy that they're going to bring.
Is it golden?
No, it's silver.
Okay.
You don't think it's?
Does it work?
It's a toaster. It's a toast.
It's a Pop-Tart bowl.
Listen, I think everything about the Pop-Tart bowl is hilarious. But if we're going to slather Pop-Tarts and Chick-fil-A and whatever other corporation all over these games so that the schools can continue to just make more money and more money, and these kids, like, we're going to criticize them for opting out to protect their money, it just seems a little disingenuous to me.
I can't believe
it's a toaster.
It's a toaster. I can't believe where we're at. I mean, do you remember Leonard Fournette was one of the big first names, in my memory, to like bail out of a bowl game? And we went nuts. We're like, this guy's quitting
What a
on
piece
his
of crap.
team. How could he do this to LSU? What a selfish. Now it's like it's just a standard now to do that. And it's pretty sad. We're going to take a look. Let's look at the matchup for the Buccaneers. Could there possibly be a letdown against New Orleans this weekend? We'll
it out. Cut it. Start, sit, cut is on the Pat and Aaron Show.
That's right. And Casey Warner, the keeper of the start, the sit, or the cut. Casey, what do you got? And by the way, you can watch us on YouTube right now. Just search WDAE. And if you used to watch, we went away for a little bit. If you would go, please subscribe, like and subscribe that new YouTube page. Casey Warner, what do we have?
We got the bowl season wrapping up in college football, which means the NFL draft is right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it. A lot of QB prospects that are in the top 5. We don't really know who could be the first overall taken. Odds have it as Shedeur Sanders right now. I got 3 right here for you all to rank. Start, sit, cut, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward.
I'm going to start Cam Ward because he looks the most NFL ready. He's been around for a while. He's moved around, and we've seen that. The guys that have done that and gone into the NFL with that experience have performed better. Now, really, all these guys have experience. Jalen Milroe's got plenty. Quinn Ewers as well. The problem with Quinn is and I don't like to say injury prone, but the guy does get banged up a lot. His style of play and just the way he gets hit, he gets banged up a lot. Because of that, I'm going to sit Jalen Milroe and I'm going to cut Quinn Ewers.
I know it shouldn't matter because it's been proven to not matter that much, but I like a guy who looks like a quarterback, like a guy that can stand in the pocket and sling it around. I'm going to start Cam Ward as well. To me, he is that guy. I really like Jalen Milroe too, but I do think I got to sit Quinn Ewers and cut Jalen Milroe. But three decent quarterback prospects. TJ Reeves kept saying he thinks Milroe's a first rounder during the ReliaQuest Bowl. I'm not so sure. You think he goes in the first round?
I don't think so.
I think he does.
I think he could. I think teams are going to fall in love with him as a person when they do the interviews, and that helps.
I wonder who's going to go first. Do you think Cam Ward? Do you think it's Shedeur Sanders will be the first quarterback to go?
I don't know, man.
It always
scares
changes.
me.
Yeah,
he scares me so much, and unfortunately, it's because of Dion. But he's scared. I don't know. I'd be worried about taking Shedeur. I really would.
Odds are right now it has Shedeur Sanders and then Cam Ward, the top 2 quarterbacks in the current odds.
Who do they have? Do they have Jalen before Quinn?
I'm not looking at the current odds right now, but I just know in the ones I've seen, it's been Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I would say third's probably Jalen Milroe. That's what I would guess.
Carson Beck is still considered top 5.
Oh, goodness.
This is why I'm not a scout. I'm not even close to it. But from what I hear, they say he's a starter. He's got the tools to be a starting quarterback in the league.
Why didn't he show him in college?
Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, there's a lot still to be decided this weekend as far as the NFL playoffs go. In the AFC, we're still looking for one more wild card team. So start, sit, cut. The Dolphins, the Broncos, the Bengals, the 3 teams still in it.
I think you got to start the Broncos because they're the team that has the win and in scenario. And by the way, they're playing a Kansas City Chiefs team that's going to sit everyone. So unless Carson Wentz has himself an afternoon, I think the Denver Broncos should be able to win that game. And obviously the Dolphins and Bengals would need them to lose. I'll sit the Bengals. I'll cut the Dolphins. But I think it's the Broncos. I think they're going to end up beating a Kansas City Chiefs team that doesn't really give a damn.
I'm just going to go by what's happening this week. The Dolphins play the Jets, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start the Broncos because they're playing a team in Kansas City, like Pat mentioned, that's not playing anybody. I'm going to sit the next team. I believe the Dolphins have the next tiebreaker if the Broncos were to lose, and they're playing the Jets. So I'm going to sit the Dolphins, and even though, with Tua and being banged up, I'm going to cut the Bengals because they're just on the outside looking in. But, man, Joe Burrow has really, and Jamar Chase, they have brought that team back from nothing this year to be in the conversation, and that alone, I think, should put Joe Burrow in the MVP conversation. Now he's not going to get it.
It won't be.
Still think it's crazy that Lamar Jackson's going to, or that Josh Allen's going to get it. I do. It's nuts.
All right, next it's 2025. So things you're looking forward to most in Tampa Bay sports in 2025. Rays baseball outdoors for a full season. The Lightning playoff push without Stammer for the first time, or the upcoming Bucks offseason.
Well, I like how you put the upcoming Bucks offseason, because if you put the upcoming potential Bucks playoff, that would automatically be the start. But I'm gonna start Lightning playoff push without Stammer because it has been so fun this early part of the season to watch this new team, new pieces, and them gelling, doing a really good job. I'm gonna sit Rays baseball outdoors for a full season because Pat and I have had this debate before. regular season anything in a major sport is always going to be more interesting to me than an off season. I know a lot of people think football off season is more interesting than some sports. I think that's crazy. Baseball for the Rays is always going to win out on that, but outdoor for a full season, the intrigue there, definitely sitting that. I'm going to cut upcoming Bucks off season. Love the offseason. Very intriguing, but not as intriguing as the other things.
Especially this offseason, because I think they're trying to put the finishing touches on what could be a Super Bowl favorite if they do it right this offseason. And, Nick Wise and I and our guy Johnny in sales and, a lot of guys actually believe that the NFL's offseason is more interesting than other leagues' regular seasons. Now, when I say that, Aaron, as a whole, the NFL offseason is more interesting to me than Major League Baseball's regular season, than the NHL's regular season. But when you just get down to I care more about the Rays playing at Steinbrenner this year than I do the Bucks offseason. When it's just down to our teams, obviously I want to see our teams play. The rest of the leagues, I'd rather the offseason stuff's more interesting to me. But I'm going to say I will start the Rays at Steinbrenner because I'm just fascinated by the whole thing, and I think it's going to end up being a lot of fun. And I'm hoping at some point during the year we get really good news about their future as well. I'm going to start that. I'll sit the Lightning playoff run, and I will cut the Buccaneers offseason, even though the NFL offseason greater than the leagues when it comes to our teams. Of course, I care about watching them play.
Who is Johnny in sales?
Yeah, I don't know a Johnny.
Don't screw me, because if I got his name wrong, I don't want to be...
John Peroni?
Yeah.
Is it Peroni or Peroni?
I'm pretty sure it's Peroni.
You probably would be right.
I get names wrong all the time, and had I got his name wrong, I would have felt like a real jerk. Yeah, John Peroni. Can I not call him Johnny?
Johnny.
I'll call him. He seems like a Johnny to me.
On the text line, somebody said Evans' over is now at 92.5, so it's got to be one full
you
yard.
Did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you had that impact this morning.
Crap, I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, way to go. A lot of people jumped on it now.
All right, so I really want to know your all's opinion on this one. Day you want the Bucks to play on in the playoffs if they win the NFC South this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh, that's easy. Saturday. So I can watch it, enjoy it, and be done with it, and then watch the rest of the football as it goes on and see where it falls.
So I've left the at-home unit at home. And in part because I was told by somebody that...
Now, hold on. When you say at-home unit, for people listening, you're talking about being able to broadcast and do a show with microphone, all the setup equipment from home.
Correct. I've left that at home, and I've been told by somebody close to the team that the NFL, for whatever reason, finds it to be advantageous, easy to put the 4-5 game on Monday night. Because I said they won't do that to us 3 times in a year, and I was told, actually, there's a decent chance they do. That said, I will absolutely cut Monday Night Football. I do not want it to be on Monday Night Football, even though it'd be fun to do the show from the couch again. I will. Aaron's 100% right. You start Saturday afternoon to be able to get that game in, get that game out, enjoy the Sunday's worth of games, and then come in here fresh and ready to go on Monday would be perfect. You sit the Sunday and you cut Monday night.
Yeah, I'm going to start Saturday. I'm going to sit Monday. I'm going to cut Sunday. So I look at...
So you want Monday night more than Sunday?
More than Sunday.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more.
Hold on.
It's rude.
Hold on. Just looking at this thing. Detroit plays Minnesota on... We're not going to be able to get one more in, Casey, so save it for next week, please. Detroit plays Minnesota on Sunday night. The winner of that game wins the conference and gets the bye. The loser of that game gets the 5 seed and is going to play the Buccaneers, most likely.
And by the way, playing on Sunday night, it gives them a little extra rest if you put them on Monday night.
That's true.
And by the way, that's a really good football team. You're getting a 14-win football team on the road on Monday Night Football.
Regardless.
Don't be surprised.
Yeah, well, and listen, now if the Rams lose and the Bucks win, will the Bucks take over? I believe the Bucks will take over
the 3.
Yeah, they'll take over that 3, and they'll end up playing either Washington or Green Bay. So a lot can happen as far as the seeding still in the NFC. As far as the only playoff spot remaining, it's that division spot for the NFC South. So that start, sit, cut. Good stuff, Casey Warner.
Guess who's outside our studio right now?
Ian Beckles, ladies and gentlemen. Ian Beckles. We're going to do our injury report on the other side with Florida Orthopedic Institute in partnership with Tampa General Hospital, and then we'll get to Ian Beckles. But before that...
It's actually Tommy Chuck.
Oh, it is Tommy Chuck.
It's actually both. I'll just mess with you.
Can you believe 2025? It's here. A new year comes with new hope, new optimism. It's time to start fresh and look ahead. And at International Diamond Center, they're excited to be part of your special moments in the new year. They've expanded their selection for the new year, so check it out. Their inventory, their diamond inventory at IDC, it's never been better. All sizes, all shapes, real, natural, precious diamonds at the best direct importer prices. And Pat, it doesn't stop there at IDC. The showcasing all the new styles, the trends, engagement rings, fashion jewelry inspired and created by the world's premier designers. You know this. No one has more fashion-forward jewelry than IDC.
That's right. That's why we love IDC, because they're non-commissioned sales experts and everybody over there to help you out so you can say goodbye to 2024 and start 2025 the right way by showing your love with the greatest gift you can give, a diamond from International Diamond Center. Find out more at shopidc.com. Of course, you can find International Diamond Center at Tampa, Clearwater, Lakeland, and Sarasota.
All right, time for our injury report next.
WDAE.
Traffic update.
From the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Crash in Tarpon Springs on northbound 19, just north of Tarpon Avenue. Left lane is blocked here. Also, we're seeing delays on westbound I-4 just before downtown Tampa, and 275 on the brakes right around the Selman connector, and a minor crash on eastbound Bush near Himes.
Partnership with Tampa General Hospital. It's Dignitary Thursday with Ian Beckles. He's in studio, and we're going to get to some good stuff with him next. But first, want to welcome our doctor to the show today. We love having him on, Dr. Trey Rameli. Dr. Rameli, Happy New Year. Thanks for coming on today once again.
Morning, gentlemen. Happy New Year to both of you guys as well. Hopefully, so far things have been good for you.
So far, so good. And unfortunately, we got a lot of injuries to talk about for the last week of the season. And let's start locally with the Buccaneers. Antoine Winfield Jr. likely missing the season finale Sunday with a knee injury. Are you more cautious with an athlete who's had multiple leg injuries in a single year like we've seen from Antoine? Or, is that something you look at when they've had multiple ones of those in a year and you're more cautious because of it?
Yeah, with both of those injuries, he's been dealing with the biggest thing is you look at him in isolation, and as long as he, you're focusing on that knee injury that he has now, and they'll generally tell you if they're ready or not to go. But you definitely, in your rehab and treatment program, you keep working on both of them with that as well.
Given the extent of the injuries he's had this year and the fact that they've both seemed to have lingered a little bit, is it fair to expect, even if he comes back for the playoffs, that he's not going to be the Antoine Winfield Jr. that we expect?
Well, it's something definitely the sports medicine staff is going to be looking at, but individually these athletes, they'll tell you if they're ready or not, and definitely when there's playoff implications or in the playoffs, they're definitely going to try to push it a little bit harder. But the medical staff will definitely look at that and take the athlete's input on their recommendations, definitely.
It's been a disappointing season for the 49ers, and Brock Purdy, he's going to miss Sunday's game with an elbow contusion. What's the contusion? It's just a bruise, right? So would he not be able to play through that, or is he just not trying to risk further injury there?
The biggest concern with those, especially on quarterbacks, is if the ulnar nerve or your funny bone is irritated, because your throwing motion as a quarterback, you definitely put stress on that side of the elbow when throwing, and then you could get some grip issues on the ball if that nerve is really affected in the muscles that are working with that nerve, can't grip the ball. So it does a lot of feel, and every throw that he makes could be symptomatic for him. So you definitely keep a close eye on those things. Those funny bone injuries can be pretty lingering.
Yeah, we've all felt that kind of funny bone pain when we've whacked our elbow on something. How painful is an elbow contusion compared to a bone bruise on another joint or another part of the bone structure?
Yeah, if you're dealing with like a muscle contusion, those things can heal up pretty quickly. If you get the ulnar nerve involved, you rely on the blood flow a lot, and so nerves take a lot longer to heal over time, and it's dealing with that is pretty significant, and it could linger for a while, especially if that nerve's involved. But those funny bone injuries, they can be painful for sure.
Tua Tagovailoa is dealing with a hip injury. I know someone who is 34 years old who is dealing with...
You gave me so much crap for the I know a guy.
I know someone who's 34 years old, and he's dealing with this thing on his right hip. It happens a lot during golf, and it really, he tells me, it really gets sore when he plays golf. And that friend of mine has confided in me and told me he's starting to worry about his future and needing hip replacement surgery by the age of 40. What would you say to my friend?
Yeah, golf-wise, just add, increase your handicap to have more strokes available for you, when you're playing. But these hip injuries, they're pretty important for rotation, and especially in the throwing motion. The problem with Tua is I haven't seen anything specific if it's the same hip that he dislocated and had surgery on, even though the team reports and their reports have said that it's a separate issue from that. So, but that rotation, it's like what we call a kinetic chain, and if from your ankle to your knee to your hip, if anything is out, it makes that throwing mechanism and strength a lot different.
How much do you have to worry about injury to other parts of the lower body when the hip is impacted?
Oh, definitely, because your running mechanics, your ability to cut and evade, those lateral movements, all of those things are affected from that, similar to your friend who you speak of with their golf game. All of that stuff could be affected for sure.
Yeah, my friend with his golf game, it definitely is affected sleeping too. It hurts. When it comes to hip surgeries and people that are, in all seriousness, people dealing with hip issues and surgeries and replacements, is a replacement, because I hear sometimes with knee replacements and hip replacements, they actually feel better afterwards. What's is there ways that could actually improve things? Where do you get to that point where you have to get the replacement?
Yeah, the hip replacement is really based on a lot of things. We look at the patient's level of activity, how this injury is affecting what we call their quality of life, if it's affecting their sleep, and then how bad does the arthritis look. And so those are things that we take into account when I'm considering doing a hip replacement on a patient. Age does matter because the hips have a lifespan, and so these younger patients, you gotta make sure that they understand that there's a chance that they may need another hip replacement.
This feels very appropriate today because it's so damn cold outside. At least it was when I left the house. Anyone who's over 40 knows that your body just kind of feels different when the temperature gets low. Are there any injuries that you see more often in the winter months than you do during the summer?
Yeah, a lot of times patients or athletes that come in, complain of muscle aches or tendon injuries. Those seem to be the most common because they take a little bit longer to warm up, so to speak, in this colder weather. And those are kind of the things that we'll see. Achilles injuries or hamstring injuries tend to be more common in colder weather.
That's why I stay inside during the cold weather. I'm not going to risk it. Not going to risk it, Dr. Romeli. Well, we love having you on the show. We're glad you had a good New Year, and we're excited for a couple injury reports left in the season here because we've got a couple big games for the Buccaneers, hopefully, with the playoffs. The Pat and Aaron Injury Report, presented by Tampa General Hospital in partnership with Florida Orthopedic Institute, providing you access to one of the top orthopedic programs in the nation. Do not wait today. Schedule that appointment at floridaortho.com. Dr. Romeli, thank you for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thanks, Doc.
And we got Ian Beckles in studio now. We've got Dignitary Thursday upon us. So we'll get to Ian Beckles and catch up with him in just a few minutes. But we just talked with Dr. Romeli. If you're dealing with an injury, do not wait any longer, like we've said here. And we've been talking with the doctors from Florida Orthopedic Institute for years in partnership with Tampa General Hospital. At Florida Orthopedic Institute, we're talking about highly skilled, board-certified physicians and surgeons that are going to get you right. Whatever you're dealing with, they have the level of expertise that's going to give you the care that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Some people need to travel all over the place to get great world-class orthopedic care, but you have it right in your own backyard with Florida Orthopedic Institute in partnership with Tampa General Hospital. And getting in there, making the appointment, it's easy to do. Just call 800-FL-ORTHO or go to floridaortho.com.
When we return, I will tell Ian Beckles why this is finally the New York Knicks year. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk about football.
The Player of the Night, presented by Rivard Buick GMC.
We have one college football playoff semifinals set as the Ohio State Buckeyes took down the top-ranked Oregon Ducks yesterday, 41-21, led by quarterback Will Howard. Will Howard was 17 of 26, 319 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. Will Howard is your Rivard Buick GMC Player of the Night. Rivard Buick GMC, no games, no gimmicks, no hidden fees. Check out that inventory easily at RivardBuickGMC.com. We are professional grade. I am Casey Warner, and this is
an iHeart radio station.
Hour number 3 of the Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. It is Dignitary Thursday. Ian Beckles in studio with us. Let's see if we can get his microphone on. That was a one push situation. I was sitting there last week and I had to hammer that button just to turn it on.
I got it in one.
That's your power. Mm-hmm. It's the power of Aaron Jacobson. Ian Beckles, good morning. Good to see you, my
friend. Good morning, boys.
What's up, buddy?
You guys good?
We are well.
I'm a little in shambles. I went hard for 4 days.
Shocker that you're in shambles.
I went to New York. I just got back last night, 9 o'clock.
You are in shambles.
I'm pretty shambled.
Yeah.
I'm
4 straight days at the Garden seeing fish.
But there wasn't drugs there.
No. Not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, it's good to meet you.
What do you mean? Listen, you can go enjoy the music. Look at me, people, if you're watching on YouTube. You can go enjoy music and be sober and enjoy the music for what it is. And then you can do other things.
Can we be 100% honest on this show? When's the last time you were 100% sober at a concert?
There's a lot of kids listening. The kids are getting back to school. Kids back in school today?
What does that mean, 100% sober? What does that mean exactly?
That means 0 substances or alcohol in your system.
Why don't you ask him ever?
I need to stop drinking, actually, because I drank a little too much. You don't drink anymore, Ian.
Drink, no.
That might be the worst of all of them.
That's pretty much.
I'm serious.
No, I understand.
It might be the worst of all. I've been drinking a lot, and I think that's what has shambled me the most.
In my drinking days, I still like to go to concerts, but I remember going to concerts in my drinking days and not remembering the concert.
I was going to say.
That doesn't make any sense.
I never black out, ever. I don't black out. Yeah. I do not like that. I don't get to that point. I'm a moderation guy. I don't ever get it. Pat, you've known me. You both have known me for a long time. A very long time.
I've rarely even seen you with a buzz.
Thank you. But by the way, I will have the buzz. I'm just very controlled. I don't like to get out of control.
But to be fair, you've never seen Pat Donaldson blacked out either.
No, but I've seen you buzzed up.
Oh, yeah. Very buzzed up.
I've never seen Ian buzzed up.
Back in the day, it wouldn't have been hard to find. It wouldn't have.
But, I found myself, I was drinking, I was watching football, and I was just a mess. I don't know if you gamble anymore, Ian. I was gambling a lot this weekend, too. Do I look puffy?
A little bit.
Like a good puffy?
No, I didn't say that.
I know, my eyes are all
You don't mean
puffed
like
up.
Diddy puffy?
No, not that puffy. Like he's retaining water. And by the way, your buddy with the hip, tell his mother I say hi.
It's funny that's going to come up in the show today. I've got some idea. Oh yeah, you didn't.
I did.
All right.
I was playing along.
I was wondering what you thought what you would think when you saw that.
I don't care.
Oh no, sort of.
Clearly didn't care.
Have we talked to you since Indiana lost?
No, probably not.
Because that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Any surprise there?
Well, I was just talking to your boss.
Yes.
Tommy, and we were talking. I said, well, our teams didn't fare well. And I also explained this. A lot of times when there's 4, Tennessee and Indiana, when there's 4 teams, you don't get good games. When you make this many teams, the odds of getting good games are not great.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between, Notre Dame and Indiana. There's still a big difference.
Yeah.
Notre Dame gets better athletes.
And Boise State, who got a bye week.
Yeah. So this is the thing, okay? The teams that made it in deserve to be in there. They deserve it. Do they belong there? Those are not the same things.
But I would have said the same thing about Arizona State.
Okay, but let me ask you all this question. If Arizona State or Boise State played a Big Ten or SEC schedule, would they be there? The answer is no. Don't think about it. It's no. If Indiana played an SEC schedule, I'm not sure they'd be there, but they still deserve to be there. Belonging and deserving are 2 different things, because I don't know if Indiana could beat Alabama. Alabama wasn't in it. You think Indiana, Alabama on a neutral field, who's going to be favored?
I think this year Alabama would be favored, but 100%. I think Indiana had a good chance against.
I think they had a chance
against Alabama.
Yeah, this year.
I don't think so.
The Alabama I watched on Saturday, Wednesday,
and Alabama's up and down. But Indiana, I'm not dogging Indiana. That's my team, okay. But against a physical team up front, they're gonna have problems. But then again, Ohio State looks pretty damn good.
They look ready to win this game.
They look pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I know in this area people hate Ohio State.
I do.
That's because they're so good.
All right.
They're always there.
Ian, tell me this.
Always.
So I grew up a Michigan fan.
Oh God.
Pat and I were talking about that Michigan-Ohio State rivalry.
Yeah.
And for somebody who went to Indiana, played for Indiana, you understand the rivalry of college football, and then you had a long career in the NFL, so you understand how different the dynamic is between those rivalries in college football and the rivalries in the NFL. Mm-hmm. What I cannot wrap my head around, Ian, is how could people look at a Michigan-Ohio State regular season game that's meaningless as more important than the run that Ohio State's making right now?
I've never been there.
I know.
I have.
I don't get it.
I have.
It's the same thing we experience every year with Army-Navy. You've got the hat on.
But that's a little different.
It's true.
That's a little different.
Okay, listen, we're in the South, okay, so you really are oblivious to what's going on up north. If you go to a Michigan-Ohio State game, you'll understand. It's not normal hate. It's not. Okay, I know this SEC thing, Florida, Georgia, whatever. I'm just telling you, it's not the same thing.
Why is that hatred more important than the happiness of making a run in a college football playoff?
Why is it more important? You'd have to ask a Michigan or Ohio State fan. I'm neither.
Is it more important at the end, though? If Ohio State were to win the national championship, would they trade that for a victory over Michigan? I don't think they would.
I mean, who are you asking? I mean, you're asking for their head coach. You're asking a fan. I think either one would take a national championship, I would think.
Right, I would hope.
But it doesn't mean they're not going to bellyache over their coach losing to Michigan how many years in a row. They're still going to bellyache. So, that's... If you're at Ohio State or Michigan, that's the first thing they all do is say, beat the other one. That they have to. It's part of it. There's not a lot of... rivalries where it's that one game is that important. I think that's the only one in the nation. That one is different.
By the way, Aaron mentioned you experienced, obviously, rivalry in college and then what the rivalries in the NFL is like. I would argue, wouldn't you say it's probably very different today, rivalries in the NFL, versus even when you played?
I don't think they exist anymore. Because everybody's changed conferences and they've changed. You know what I mean? Back in the day, it used to be, Bucks, Vikings, Bucks, Bears. That went away.
I think they exist for the fans, but I think you're right. I mean,
to a certain point, though. Okay, for a team, for a player, when I played in Philadelphia, clearly we hated Dallas. Okay, the whole city hates Dallas. But it's not like Michigan, Ohio State. It's not the same.
It's interesting, the landscape of college football, because traditionally you went to a college before the transfer portal became the mess that it is. You were at that college. Like, you didn't want to lose eligibility, so you were sticking it out with that school. And you had pride in that school because that was your school and you were going to be there for years and there wasn't going to be another school. That was it for you. Mm-hmm. The NFL is obviously different because you can change teams all the time. Now with the transfer portal, I wonder if that pride and the tradition that we see from players, not the fan base, the players will still be there. And do you think that because of the transfer portal, it feels like that's changed how the players respond to that pride?
Stop saying pride.
Why?
It doesn't exist anymore.
But it did, right?
To a certain extent, yes.
Like, did you feel Hoosier pride?
No, there's...
They're proud of those NIL deals, dog.
But that's
money changes everything,
okay,
dude.
That one, okay. You can be prideful as you want, okay. And I don't want to put you on Front Street, but you love this building. But if another building offers you twice as much money, you're going to flee.
Never.
Okay. So
never.
Listen,
on the record,
I'm just telling everybody, college football is gone. That's professional football now.
Yeah.
And there's no loyalty. I'm happy these kids are getting paid. Is it going to be good for football, college football, in the grand scheme of things? I'm not sure because it's to a point. Tony Mayberry's son, all right. Tony Mayberry's son. I think I'm going to get the schools wrong, but he went to Stanford and he started a little bit. Then he went to another school, went to defense, didn't play. He was just going to walk away from football. Then a school called him and says, "Oh, we'll give you $100,000 to come play." Where are you going to make $100,000 out of foot?
No.
$100,000 to play football? Are you kidding me? So. It's the mentality. I remember you guys talking about Fournette not playing in the bowl, okay? You didn't say that I think McCaffrey with that same year didn't play as well.
Correct.
I went crazy because I would never leave my brothers alone. If I'm with you for 4 years, I would never, ever. I wouldn't do it. Then, now, if I'm going to be a draft pick and we're playing a bowl game in 4 weeks and the bowl game doesn't really mean anything, it's bad business to play.
Too much money at risk.
It's way too much. We'll just get an insurance policy. And then what? Get paid one time? I mean, come on. It's not the same thing.
And
it's
never
bad
play?
business. Yeah, it's bad business.
Let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this earlier when Aaron and I were talking about the fact that the Sugar Bowl was moved to today. How would that? Do you think that would have had an impact on you as a player? Maybe not even like an emotional impact as far as the fact that there was a terrorist event around the corner from where you're going to play football, but the preparation of the extra day, It's a different time of day. Like everything about the game is going to be a little bit different. Would that impact you at all?
No. Nah. I mean, I think Tony Dungy, his rookie year as a coach, we had to take a bus to Jacksonville and then get off the bus and then get on the practice field. And then everybody was just like, what? What do you mean? I mean, that's crazy. And he looked at everybody and he goes, you have to be able to deal with this stuff if you think you're ever going to be a champion, because it's not going to be easy. So if you let that affect you, you're not a champion, okay? Because things happen all the time. Yeah. And things happen in life all the time. It's the way you react to them. And the resilient teams, the ones who are going to win in any situation, weather, doesn't matter, they're going to deal with it, and the weak-minded teams are going to lose.
I like to put myself in uncomfortable life situations to be stronger.
Have you heard a bigger lie today, Ian Beckles?
I swear.
Have you heard a bigger lie today?
I swear to you.
In what way? Give me an example.
All right, so like at 34, like Pat, for instance, he can't sleep on a couch, right?
It's not true.
You can't sleep on a couch. He has to sleep in bed with his wife.
Okay.
Is that
weird?
Yeah. If his wife isn't there, if she, God forbid, Heidi leaves town, because he comes in miserable. He's like, I can't sleep without my wife in bed with me. I like to make myself uncomfortable.
I said I don't sleep well when she's not there, which is a fact.
I'll sleep on floors. I'll sleep like this weekend in the city. I'll put myself in uncomfortable sleeping situations, and I'll go, you're going to come out stronger on the other side of this.
That's uncomfortable.
There's other things I can't think of on the top of my head.
Hey, he slept on a floor, Ian.
Hold on, there's other things.
You know what I did to make myself uncomfortable?
What?
I fasted for 15 days.
I'll die. That's not uncomfortable. That's death.
I've slept in a car.
That's death.
You think you're going to die, don't you? You think you would die.
Every day. I need to think about what I'm talking about, though, because there are some things I do where I'm like, you're making yourself a stronger human being through this tough act, mental act, and mostly mental more than physical.
You are right.
Yeah.
The average person in society today doesn't put themselves through anything.
You got to go through it.
So you have to. We're not very resilient as people.
That's why I'm going to go on Naked and Afraid one day.
When things happen, that's why everybody folds when things happen.
Not me. Not this guy. I play that hand.
Yeah. I will be honest enough to admit I am not resilient, but Aaron Jacobson, absolutely not resilient.
What do you mean? I'm going to come up with examples. I'm going to give them to
you. I can't wait.
You think of one.
I can't wait to hear those. We've got a lot of examples this year of how good Bucky Irving is. We talked about earlier some of the numbers he's put up that we haven't really seen much of around this league. When we return, though, Ian Beckles, he does not throw around the word special very easily. So we'll see what he thinks about the Bucs rookie tailback on the other side. It's Dignitary Thursday. Ian Beckles will join us for the final hour every Thursday starting today. And again, we'll get into Bucky Irving with Ian Beckles coming up next.
I'm going to think of one. I got it on the tip of my tongue.
You really are.
WDAE
Traffic update.
From the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm.
Minor crash on eastbound Bush near Himes, northbound US 19 just north of Tarpon Avenue. This one in the left-hand lane. No major problems to report on 275 or 75 throughout the area. Westbound I-4 just a bit slow before downtown Tampa. Get traffic info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm Randy Myers.
Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Take up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Shop today for free and fast delivery. Restrictions apply.
Listening on the free iHeartRadio The Pat and Aaron Show on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Mentioned in the first hour of the show, Bucky Irving, 150 total scrimmage yards or more. You didn't have the touch this time, Aaron?
No, I had a problem with that.
Yeah, that thing needs to be fixed. We got a bad button in here. But yeah, over 150 scrimmage yards or more 3 times this season. He's only been bested as a rookie by Ezekiel Elliott, who had 6, Puka Nacua, who had 4, with 3 games of at least 150 scrimmage yards or more. He joins guys like Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, Kareem Hunt, and Todd Gurley. I'll tell you what, I think this kid is fantastic, and I even border on using the word special. And Ian, if I know you, I know that you don't throw that word around very easily.
I do not.
What do you think of Bucky Irving? How good in your mind is Bucky Irving, and who does he remind you of? Maybe a former back in the league.
The kid is good. Okay, when you're rushing for that many yards, and I watch a lot of football, he's slippery and he's shifty. There's not a lot of running backs that are both. Okay?
And tough too.
No, he's tough. Now watch that word. Now it's his rookie year, and he's missed time. All right, he's 5'9", 180. So this wouldn't be. It's not a Buccaneer thing. This is a normal thing.
Yep.
2 years from now, we're not going to be talking about him probably, because if you name me any running back that has been successful for more than 2.5 years, they're going to the Hall of Fame. That's just the way football is these days. Running backs don't last.
I made the point of enjoy him while you've got him.
That's
a couple
part
weeks
of
ago.
it. Because like everybody wanted him to more carries. In the one game he had 25 carries. He didn't finish the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so am I excited about this kid? The kid, I don't. I would love to see him touch the ball 40 times a game. I don't know if he's going to be there the next week.
You got to preserve yourself.
Absolutely. Now, and when you look at the Lions and you're looking at Gibbs and
Montgomery got hurt.
Okay, Gibbs and Montgomery, I don't care which one has a hot hand. They're both sharing rushes. So that's what the Buccaneers have turned into. You don't want Bucky getting all these rushes and then he's not there for the end of the season. Like all these Eagle fans, if you're an Eagle fan and you want Saquon Barkley to break that record, you're stupid. Who cares if he breaks the record? You want to win a Super Bowl. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares. And the Mike Evans thing, Mike Evans, who is maybe top 3 Buccaneers of all time and is one of the biggest anomalies I've ever seen in sports, okay?
What do you mean by that?
Just, I can't believe he's still this good.
Okay.
Because I swear to you can go back to my In the Trenches podcast. 4 years ago, I remember saying, we can't expect Mike to keep on doing this. And even every year I go, he's not going to keep on, and he just keeps on doing it. And then he gets hurt, and then I go, like, he's done. And then he comes back, and he's still one of the better guys. So 6 weeks ago, if you had said, are the Bucs going to make the playoffs, and is Mike Evans going to get 1,000 yards, both of them were so unlikely.
We said, I didn't think it was going to happen, both of them.
Both of them happening was so unlikely. Going into this game, we want it to happen. Everybody in the locker room wants it to happen, but nobody's talking about it.
Which did you think was more likely?
More likely? At that time, I would have said probably Mike Evans, because at the time, I didn't think the Bucs were going to go on a run like that.
Me too.
5 of 6.
Pat did. Pat thought not only the run for the Bucs. I was like, it's not just the Bucs. The Falcons have to fall flat on their faces. Like, the Falcons are going to Falcon. I didn't believe that.
The Falcons aren't good. They aren't good.
Well, yeah, they've had to make a quarterback change with a $100 million guaranteed man to the rookie. I want to go back to the premise of what you were saying about Bucky and preservation, because I agree. With that premise, why didn't we see more of Sean Tucker, who, when he was in there, he was great? Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about preserving the backs, we could get that guy touches and they're going to be effective, we believe, and it will at least preserve Bucky or Rashad or both of them.
I don't know the answer, but if I were to guess, I would say that Tucker doesn't know the offense because he runs well. Yeah. But you can't put a guy in who can't pass block and doesn't know the whole offense.
I don't think they trust him in pass pro at all.
Then you can't put him in.
It's the same thing with Bucky, too, right now. Like, we see...
He's not Rashad White, but I think they trust him more than they do Sean Tucker.
For sure, but there are times where you're like, why is Rashad in there and Bucky not? And you're like, oh, it's going to be pass pro.
Yeah. Well, and that's the case sometimes. But when Rashad's in there, Tucker's in there, Bucky's in there, our offense doesn't really change. We're still going to run the same plays. You would just rather see, I think in between the tackles that time, I think Rashad's a better runner than Bucky. Once you get in the open, it's pretty cut and dry. It's Bucky. It's cut and dry.
Yeah, but
I think
Bucky always makes a guy miss.
He does.
Rashad does not.
I think Bucky misses more holes because he's always looking for home runs.
He looks to bang people.
Yeah.
He's looking to hit people.
Yeah, and he's got to stop that.
At his size,
you have to stop that.
He likes it, though. We've talked to him. He likes it.
Yeah, he'll like it. Okay, I remember the great Reggie Cobb. May he rest in peace. That was my brother, my rookie year. Von Dunbar, running back from Indiana, was running for the Saints. And I go, you see my boy Von running? And Reggie looked at me and goes, enjoy it. And I go, why? He goes, he ain't going to run like that for very long. And I'll never forget that. If you ain't if you're not avoiding people in the NFL, Cadillac Williams, in his 6 week, and I go, enjoy it.
Yeah.
He couldn't get away from nobody, just getting tattooed.
Those first couple weeks got him into the Hall of Fame, but that was about it.
But I haven't seen anybody uncoil on Bucky yet, which is good. He's slippery.
Yeah, he is.
He's slippery.
He's just I'm telling you, he's tough too. But you're right. You can't take all those hits and continue to be good. How much are you worried about Sunday? I know a lot of people are worried about the trap game and all this stuff and divisional game. I don't want to be like flippant because I was about the Denver game and clearly like that they proved me wrong. But at the same time, we didn't know who Denver was at the time. We know who the Saints are, and they look like they can't wait to go home.
But the NFL is so funky.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? The NFL is funky. Like the team that went to LA and beat the beat the Chargers was not the same team that played the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's not the same team that last week. So we don't know what's going on out there.
And they did the same thing after the Giants blowout. They played poorly against Carolina.
And this Saints team, sometimes I watch them and I go, And sometimes I watch them and I go, they packed their bags.
Yeah.
So which Saints team is it going to be? I know this. They're not going to lay down. There's nothing would make the Saints feel better than to mess up the Buccaneers' playoff hopes. That would make their whole season. So don't sleep on the Saints.
If the Bucs lose and the Falcons win and the Bucs are done, is Todd Bowles done?
I think that's just media talk. I never hear.
Of course, I'm in the media.
I know. I never hear the organization ever see he's on a hot seat or anything like that. I think Todd Bowles has done a fabulous job considering. That's me.
Considering what?
I mean, considering what he has. I don't know if they're that talented. I really don't.
I mean, that offense is humming, man, and that's not Todd Bowles.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's another thing, okay? Was it Dave Canales? Because the next guy came, and he's amazing as well.
Dave Canales was not amazing. That offense was okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, he was so not amazing that he got a head coaching job.
Well, David Tepper's a moron.
So last year, I heard in the media, and I'm kind of the media myself.
Yeah, you're media.
You better watch out. We better lock in Canales because we'll lose him. And then we lose him. So did we lose anything? Now they're saying the same thing with Liam Cohen. When does Todd Bowles get any credit? When does he get credit? Because our defense has kept us in things for a long, long time. And when our offense shines, all of a sudden we got to make the offensive coordinator the head coach.
I look at guys that have been in the league and are media after, like Ian, like media asterisks. You know what I mean? Because they're in the media.
Because you don't want to say, I don't want to say I'm part of the media because I don't love the media.
But you're an athlete for like your knowledge of football. A lot of it comes from being on a pro football field for as many years as you were.
Facts.
As a media member myself, I didn't touch the field.
Oh, I've never known.
That's why a guy like this will say that Todd Bowles is doing a very good job, and a guy like Ron Rivera will come up to us and say, I think Todd Bowles is doing a really good job because they see things that maybe we don't. And again, I haven't sat here and said I think Todd Bowles done a great job. I've been more supportive than maybe you have, but I also think he does deserve more credit.
Do they play for Todd?
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Okay, so are they going to play for Liam Cohen?
Probably.
You don't know.
You never know.
You don't know.
Listen, and I've made the point. I love Liam Cohen, and I really don't want the Bucs to let him get away. But I've also made the point that we all felt the exact same way about Dirk Cutter. And I was convinced that Dirk was going to be a great head coach. I loved talking to Dirk every Wednesday when he would speak to the media. And then all of a sudden, he was a different dude.
Ron Rivera, we talked with Ronnie in a couple weeks ago at Army-Navy game. I remember, so I saw a report this weekend that Ron's up for a couple of head coaching gigs.
We mentioned that when you were out.
The Jets being one of them.
Yeah.
I got to go back and listen to that interview with Rivera because I made a remark, a very remark, like a backhanded joke about the Jets and how bad they are as an organization. And I like to read body language, and I didn't feel, we were having a great interview with him, and I felt like when I made that snide remark about the Jets, he kind of the body language changed a little
really?
bit. He was cool.
I
We had a
didn't know
good time.
that.
We had a good time with him. He was fine. But in my head, I was like, I wonder why he didn't like that Jets joke. Now it kind of makes sense. He was smart. He's like, I might be up for that joke.
I was saying on Tuesday when you were out, I mentioned the fact that apparently he and Rex Ryan are both going to interview for that job. And I'm like, I want Rex Ryan to get any job just so I stop seeing his stupid face on television talking about football because he's so obnoxious. But I want Ron Rivera to get another job because I love Ron, having met him over at Army Navy a couple times now, right? But I don't want him to have to take that Jets job.
Yeah, nobody should have to go through that.
It's a new year, and this week we're debuting our new weekly feature, Dignitary Thursdays, where the great Ian Beckles is going to join us every Thursday. But, Aaron, you know I love a good on-air production meeting. So I've come to the table with some ideas because I think we can really take advantage of Dignitary Thursdays and the greatness that will be Dignitary Thursdays if we have some, like, really good ideas for things to do with Ian in. I've got a handful of them. If you have any, you can bring them to the table as well. But I've got a handful of what I think could be very fun ideas for Dignitary Thursdays. And we're
all of these are dangerous ideas.
All of them are a lot of fun, and they could be with Ian Beckles. We'll talk about them next on the Pat and Aaron Show. Ian
to the Pat and Aaron Show on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
It's the first Dignitary Thursday of the new year. It is the first show of the new year here on the Pat and Aaron Show. We were off yesterday, thankfully, to recover from all of the shenanigans, especially for Aaron, who was in New York at a Fish show, totally sober, watching his favorite band, Fish.
Yeah, one night.
Totally sober one night?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe that either.
4 nights of Fish. It's recovery mode. I'm proud of myself. Talking about adversity, that's what I was talking about, Ian, that I could put myself in an uncomfortable position, like doing 4 concerts in a row.
You went to the same band 4 nights in a row?
And they didn't play one same song the whole 4 times.
I couldn't tell you a Fish song. I don't know one Fish song. Not one. Do you?
No. I've heard Fish. I even had one of their albums when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like teenager.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell you one of their songs.
They do a couple covers that you would probably, like Talking Heads. They do some.
Yeah, but that's not naming a Fish song.
Yeah, it's true.
Naming a song that they do
So
that
they don't have
we
a
know
popular
from
song?
someone else.
What?
They don't have a popular song?
Not mainstream popular, no.
And they played
The
for 4 nights?
Listen, the Grateful Dead played for 50 years, and they only had one mainstream song in Touch of Grey.
So they're a cover band that plays
They're
4
not a cover
straight
band. They're a jam band that has hundreds of songs in their catalog, original songs. They played 4 straight nights.
See how personally it takes this?
5 hours on New Year's Eve. 5 hours.
5 hours?
5 hours, 3 sets. And they did not repeat, in those 4 nights, they did not repeat a song.
Who is more defensive, you about Fish or your dad about the fake Beatles that he took you into?
Oh, it's the fake Beatles.
Well, listen, my argument is a literal band that has had success jamming for decades. My dad is defending a band that is covering another band and putting on wigs and
really
looking
well,
like,
though. They did it well.
They did do it well. He still talked last week. He still talks about Ian coming from years ago, and he references it to people. He goes, "You should come see Rain." Ian Beckles did it a couple years ago and loved it.
By the way, you and your father were very, very entertaining. You guys are I couldn't change for nothing. Entertainment.
So we know that this show is going to be entertaining every Thursday with Dignitary Thursday, and we're talking about, I said I had some ideas for things we should do with Ian in here. Now, somebody texted in the birthday challenge, which Ian mentioned to us there, that maybe we should do that like once a month. I think a birthday challenge would be a lot of fun.
That would work.
I also have some other ideas. Ask Ian everything. Or anything, I should say.
Well,
where people can call in and ask you whatever they want.
Related.
Just sports?
I'm not putting my business out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't mean ask him about his personal business. Like,
they're gonna.
Well, that's when you got to tell people, like, come on, get your crap together. You can't ask for personal, information.
Yeah,
that's not right.
I'm an open book.
I was thinking also maybe Ian versus the Pawns. Like once a month, bring the Pawns with you and have like either a trivia contest or a staring contest.
Smart.
Yeah, Tom Ponzo.
Smart.
Really?
Most people remember Tom Ponzo worked with Ian when Ian was here, and now still works with Ian over at Dignitary. And he is smart. He does everything.
I ain't scared of the Pawns.
I'm scared of the Pawns.
You scared of the Pawns?
It's the thing he wears on his head all the time.
It's a bandana.
Is that a bandana?
Yeah, it's a bandana.
I don't even know if it's a bandana.
You ever see his hair?
What else would it be?
I've seen Tom's hair.
Is he his
What kind
hair?
of hair does he have?
None.
Okay, I was wondering. Because he's always wearing a bandana. He has no hair.
I've known this
I
guy
didn't
for
think
years.
so.
No, he has no hair. No.
Yeah, I've known him for years. I know he's got no hair, but I'd rather the bandana is like, it's kind of a scary look, but it's like he's like he's like cleaning things, but he looks like scary with it on. I don't know what to think of it. He's like working behind the counter, and he looks like he could kill me too.
That's his thing.
There's nothing scary about Tom. He doesn't he doesn't have an intimidating. Like, he doesn't come across as intimidating. He doesn't want to be intimidating.
No.
I'm not, personally, I never find myself impressed by people that want to be intimidating.
Okay.
I feel like, I don't know. It's a little silly to me.
You've got Ian versus the Pawns the Pawns. Now, I love that you're coming up with ideas. You know I love ideas.
Okay.
They say no idea is a bad idea.
This is about to get condescending, you son of a bitch. I can hear it.
It's not even condescending. I'm just going to tell you the truth. You've got bad ideas on you.
What are you talking
That's
about?
not even condescending. That's straight truth.
Which is the worst?
Pat.
Which is a bad idea?
Pat. We're on the radio.
Yeah.
We do a radio show. You have a suggestion here, staring contest.
Clearly, it's a joke when I said staring contest. Obviously, I don't want to bring Ian Beckles, one of the great voices of Tampa Bay sports, into the studio and have him do a staring contest with anyone. Like, that was very obvious.
I didn't know. I'm glad. Yeah, right now.
But that's the only bad one, right? Like,
what's Ian versus Tajay? What is that?
Ian versus Tajay. Same thing as Ian versus the Pawns.
Coming in.
Whoa, ever?
No,
that's
he's not
my
coming
dude,
in.
though.
No, he loves you, but he's not really he doesn't really do it.
He won't do it.
He likes me, but he loves Pat.
Like Tony won't come in. Tony don't
really.
Nah.
I can see Tony. To me, strikes me as more shy.
Yes, he would. If I made Tony feel bad about it, he'd come in.
I had to threaten to punch Tony a couple of times for him to do stuff. Like he just doesn't want to do stuff. No, he doesn't do anything. I'm just telling you.
Like pound for pound, nobody says nicer things to me whenever I see him than Tony.
Oh, he's the nicest guy.
He is the nicest guy.
The day he called you skinny, and you were like, "Dude, am I skinny?" You came to me and you're like, "Dude, am I skinny?" He just called me skinny. I went over to him and I'm like, "Yo, you've got to call Aaron skinny again because it crushed him." And he was like, Tony was like, "Oh no, man!" Like he felt so bad. He felt so bad.
I've never met any everybody that meets Tony thinks they're the only one to come up to me and said Tony's really a nice. Like everybody says, I really like Tony.
Oh no, like when somebody's a nice guy, I guarantee you the theme of other people talking about him is he's a nice guy.
But Tony's a nice guy, but he's going to tell you the truth.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because me and him hung out back in the day, and I didn't have a lot of people in my life that checked me.
Yeah,
he was one of them.
You need a couple.
Like I did some one day, and Tony goes, "Do you ever think about it's you?" Like I'm like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" He goes, "You have all these confrontations. You ever hear of me having confrontations?" I go, "No." He goes, "Maybe you're confrontational." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
You're about to confront him.
I was like, and I'm not an overly confrontational person, but I'm way more confrontational than him.
Yeah, he doesn't do confrontation.
No, I was almost like the fight guy.
I don't think Tajay does confrontation either. Does he?
Bro, the story you told me, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was in a car, and Tajay didn't want him in the car.
Oh, yeah.
Tajay undressed one of my boys.
That's not even confrontation. That's just like telling a guy what's up.
It was kind of, he was built a little bit like you. We went to a concert in Orlando, and all of a sudden I go, I hear, Ian, who brought this bleep, bleep on the trip? Get him out. And we're in a bus heading home. And the guy's like, what did I do?
Did you see
really
his
sad.
face when you said he was kind of built like you? Aaron's face just like dropped.
What's wrong with that? I didn't say he was skinny. I just said he was built like you.
You know what I liked about New York? I was wearing a lot of broad shoulder clothing. Yeah. People were like, "You look good, Aaron." I was like, "Wait till I take my layers off. I look terrible."
All right, I got a couple more ideas here that I think could be pretty good. Florida or Philadelphia?
What does that mean?
Like we take some headlines. Because you got crazy people in Florida, you got crazy people in Philadelphia.
They're different crazy, though.
I think
that's what I'm saying.
Different crazy.
See?
I think it should be Florida or not Florida. Like, it shouldn't be Florida
so we
or
should
Philly.
just steal the idea they do right down the hall?
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Who does that?
Florida, not Florida, 98 Rock.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
See, that's when I know I'm onto something.
I think
I'm coming
Florida
up with
Philly
ideas
is
that have been
good
done.
because I think Philly crazy is a complete different crazy than Florida crazy.
That's why Florida or Philadelphia would be great.
But they're both crazy cities.
I kind of like
Or
Florida.
areas.
Florida. It's not stolen if I didn't know they did it.
It sure is.
Why?
It's still stolen. It's in the same
know they
building.
did it.
You're going to call it the same thing and make it the same segment. It's still stealing.
I didn't know they did it. It's an original thought.
Don't forget, we used to have not pick to click on our show.
No, that one we stole. That we stole straight up.
Remember that.
This is an original thought.
This is an original thought as well. Speaking of competitions, like whether it be trivia or something else, I thought you might like this one, Ian. Ian and Emma versus Aaron and his latest Hinge swipe.
What does that mean?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
What are we doing with it?
It's a competition. Some kind of,
Some kind of competition?
Yeah, trivia.
Can
whatever.
You tell me the basis of the competition?
The basis is Ian and your mom are on a team against you and some young lady.
So I got to invite the latest, Hinge match. Instead of this date that I'd like to go on with you, did you want to come on the radio and we can do
No,
me
it's
and you
be
versus
a girl that you've recently dated.
We can do me and you versus Ian Beckles and my mom. So what are you talking about? Unmatched, delete.
I get to hang out with Emma? I'm in.
Yeah, I knew you'd be.
I knew
in.
you'd like it.
The concept, there's just no concept. It's just Ian and Emma. Why don't you just call it Ian and Emma?
I could just listen to Emma talk for a long time.
We all could.
I
got
could
the voice
too,
of an angel.
just a different way.
It's got a voice of an angel.
Just a different way.
You must not think that, though.
No, I do. I love, she yelled at me a lot when I was a kid,
Yeah,
but I don't
she
get
did.
yelled at anymore.
No.
I never get yelled at anymore.
I told my son when he was about 19, he did something. He goes, "You're not going to yell at me?" And I go, "I'm done with that." I go, "You're a grown-ass man now, dog." I dapped him up. I said, "We're on the same level now." If I'm not paying for you no more, you can do whatever.
Do you ever yell at you or like get at you? I do that with
No,
my dad.
sir.
I do that with my dad.
No, sir.
But my dad deserves it these days. It's more defending my mom.
I don't come from that
Yeah.
at all. Like, I don't like. and I see the aesthetics of other people's relationship with their parents, and it's cool. I didn't come from that. Like, I didn't question my parents too much. Like, I came from
Ian had respect.
No, I have respect.
It's more than that. Like, you can respect your parents and still challenge them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my father was not to be challenged at all.
Mine's different. Mine is like when my dad is not paying attention and my mom's trying to say something to him and he's like looking at his bets for the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, you gotta listen to Mom, man.
Yeah.
You're like, she's gonna yell at all of us
Ah.
because you're not paying attention.
Is that what happens? She yells at you all because
she's just yelling into the universe, and it's really at my dad. And he's just standing. He's like, "What did I do?" It's like, you didn't do anything. That's the problem. You're not listening.
Our dads couldn't be more different.
Yeah, I bet.
Our dad, like in Bizarro World, my dad is your dad. Like, seriously, in every way, in every way.
I've never been yelled at by my dad.
I thought about it, and it was funny. I don't remember my dad ever yelling at me. And I asked my daughters the other day. I had lunch with them, and I looked at them both, and I go, "Have I ever yelled at one of you?" And I've never yelled at my daughters, either one of them.
But your son.
It's totally different.
I was way I used to yell at him like every other day, sometimes 6 times a day. But they're like, everybody thinks that you develop children, and I brought all my kids up the same. I would walk in my daughter's room, Zaina. I'd walk in her room, and I wouldn't step in it because I was be scared to misplace something. Like, her clothing would be folded for the next day, and it's military folded. And then I go to the next room, in my son's room, and there's wild animals in there, and there's weed on the drapes. And I was like...
On the drapes?
I don't know how they got up there. But you've never been in such a disgusting atmosphere. And I go,
yeah, I have.
You are an animal. He was like, oh, he's just smiling.
That's the boy.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, time to wrap this show up. We'll see if Casey Warner has some things that we may have missed during today's Pat and Aaron show. It's Dignitary Thursday with Ian Beckles hanging out for the 8 o'clock hour, as he will every week this year. I mean, every now and then he might have a week.
coach. He was like, it was really tough on me, but it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So sometimes coming out of a rookie, and plus, Tua still works for the Dolphins.
That's true.
Right?
I don't like tough coaching. It makes me scared.
We know.
I like it for other people, just not to me. Yeah.
That's all we have time for today. We will be back tomorrow for a Football Friday. Until then, for Casey Warner in the penalty box, for Ian Beckles, who hung out, and Aaron Jacobs, and I'm Pat Donovan. Thanks so much to the men and women who serve our country and allow us to be morons for a living. Sorry, Mom. Not the rest of you.
Good to be.